isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will.
Welcome to Perspective, a podcast for wedding creatives, where we sit down, often with special guests, and talk about our many years of experience in the wedding industry so that you can learn from us and grow your wedding business. I'm Simon.
And I'm Greg.
Together, we are Cinemate Films, two Scottish-based wedding filmmakers who love nothing more than drinking coffee and talking shop with others in the wedding industry. This episode is sponsored by With Jack, but I will get onto that later in the show. Second podcast of the day. Greg, who are we talking to this evening?
We are talking to Anna Sauza. Hello, Anna. How are you doing?
Anna.
Hi, I'm good. Thank you. This is morning for me.
Oh, it's morning for you. Where are you
Morning
broadcasting from?
Mexico, like right in the center. So It's 9 a.m. the time.
Oh, wow. Nice. That's so bizarre because our first podcast of the day was with Andrew Hardy, who is an Australian photographer, videographer.
Yep.
And so
it was the start of the day for us and the end for him.
So bizarre.
And now it's the end of the day for us and the beginning for you.
The beginning of the day.
Yeah, amazing. So yes, like I said, thank you for joining us. You've never done a podcast before, is that right?
Yes, this is my first time.
Okay, so listeners, you have to be nice.
Perfect. You too, with me. Especially with your Scottish accent, so...
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So, if we... Because there will be a point, it's probably already passed. We have probably had way too much coffee already. If we are speaking too quickly, you let me know.
It's fine, don't worry. Thank you.
Okay, Anna. Well, let's just start by you introducing yourself to our listeners. Who are you? What do you do?
Okay, my name is Anna, as you already told them. I'm a Mexican wedding photographer. I am 36 years old. I am married. My husband is also a wedding photographer. He's amazing. He's my biggest supporter and fan. So it's fun because we work together sometimes, but we also love to keep things separate and brands separate and everything separate.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
He's from Argentina, which is something very cool and weird, like for me, because I've always been fascinated by Argentina, especially Buenos Aires, since when I was a kid. And then I met him like 11, 12 years ago. And this is this guy from Buenos Aires. And now Buenos Aires is officially a part of me and my life. So that's super cool.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, were you on your photography journey before you met each other, or how did that all happen?
He's a little bit older than me. I've been a photographer, I think, for 11, 12 years now, but I've worked in many things. I've traveled a lot. I've lived in so many places, and I was living in the Riviera Maya, like 7, 8 years ago. That's where I met him, and he was also working as a photographer. So I met him working as a photographer, but in that time of my life, I was like trying to find. I always loved photography since I was a kid, but in that time when I met him and we were both living there, I wasn't sure I wanted to be like a full-time wedding photographer because I was more in the, I think, finding my way to what I really wanted to do. So I work in weddings. I work in like these big luxury resorts for weddings, and it was more like a massive kind of work. So I didn't enjoy that much. So actually he has a lot to do with what I choose to finally do this, because he is very passionate, but he always wanted to have this artistic feeling in everything. He's very obsessed about creating and very, very cinematic and all of this. So he was very inspiring for me. I work as a food magazine editor, and I did a lot of things. So some years ago, we moved to this part of Mexico, which is San Miguel de Allende. It's very close to Mexico City, like 3-4 hours away. And he was so inspired about doing his own brand and his own thing. And seeing how he worked so differently with his clients now that he was out of the luxury resorts and these bigger weddings and weddings, like, sometimes there were like 2 weddings at the day. So that was crazy.
Right. Yeah.
So that was very inspiring for me at that moment. And I started to focus again to weddings. And it was very nice to see how he connected with his couples and how they were just choosing him because of his talent and his personality and all of this. So that was very new to me, even though I started shooting like very, very small weddings when I was in college. I studied communication, so I shoot like my cousins getting pregnant and their little weddings and things like that. But this was a different change for me, and we got married in 2019.
Oh, cool.
And the experience, we got married here also, and the experience we had with our wedding photographer was like a big turn point for me, because it made me fall in love again, like completely, with weddings. Especially with more intimate weddings and elopements, and this connection that the photographer had with our families, with my grandparents, with the Argentinian family who don't speak English very well, and all of this. So that was amazing for me, and that was the time when I decided to go like full time and started to push the business so I can travel a little bit here in Mexico to destination weddings and very, very intimate weddings and elopements. And that was like the beginning of the full-time business as a wedding photographer.
Yeah. So
Nice.
you described yourself as a Mexican photographer, but you're not a Mexican photographer as in that's not where you primarily shoot. You are a destination, like you go all over the place, right?
Yeah, I've tried to. I hope I can go more internationally soon. Here in Mexico, I've been shooting in a lot of special places to me, which is also very, very fun. I think I'm really a believer of fate and destiny and all of this, but I really think that you have to make your own way so this destiny really happens, the way that you envision and that you want it. So since I was a little kid, my dad always take us to this special place, this beach in Mexico, like 9 hours away from here. So that was the place where I had my first destination wedding, which was
Nice.
super crazy because it was a very dear place to me.
Yeah.
And I started to have a lot of destination weddings in Cabo, Oaxaca, Riviera Nayarit, Sayulita. Those are like very nice places here in Mexico where you have beautiful landscapes and very different from each other. So, and I have I think my full time is in San Miguel. I have a lot of weddings here this year, as well as my husband, but I'm looking forward to go internationally.
Yeah, awesome.
It's kind of similar to Scotland, how Scotland is a destination for people to come to get married. People go to Mexico for a different reason as to they come to Scotland. It's not for mountains and rain.
Very different reasons.
I'm always, with yourself and your husband being photographers, I'm always intrigued as to who was it that photographed your wedding? Who did you choose?
I love him. I always tell he's now our dearest friend. It was a stranger, and now he's our friend, and he's from Germany. The name is Hafenliebe Wedding Photography. His name is Bjorn Lexius. So
Okay.
he's the best. He's amazing. I remember the first time I saw his work. I think it was also with something related to the racing stars. I think he was a racing star around 2017. I think so. I'm not sure the year, but I remember I saw his work on Instagram, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And Nahuel, he's my husband, and we always talk about getting married and maybe eloping to Scotland, actually. And at the end, we wanted to have this wedding because we really wanted to have our both families together and partying together and all of this. So when we were just starting talking about the plans, and I saw his Instagram, and I was like, "Oh my god, Noel, you have to see this guy. If we got married, we have to have him. Like, I really, really, really want him." And it was something like it clicked like super fast. And when he also saw his work, he was like, "Oh my god, I want to meet him." It was crazy. I remember when that I think happened maybe a couple months before actually deciding to get married. So the night, the day he proposed, it was very intimate, just the two of us. Before telling our parents and everybody else, we just sent a long email to him, and we say like, "We already know what we want to do for a wedding. Would you like to be here? It's in Mexico. I know it's a long road." And he was like 1 hour before. I think it was like 5 a.m. in Germany, but that time he was like, "Yes, I want to meet you guys." So it was amazing.
Awesome.
That's so cool.
That sounds cool.
How was the experience then as a photographer working with someone? Because obviously you have your own vision of your wedding, but when you hire a photographer, you are kind of entrusting them to document your wedding, but through their eyes. So how was that experience?
It was amazing. I think one of the we never really thought about just having someone like famous, because all of our friends are photographers, and we have friends from Argentina, from a lot of my family is in the US, so I have a lot of friends there, a lot of family, a lot of friends from all over the world, and everybody were super excited about who is going to be your wedding photographer. And I just wanted to keep him as a secret, so because I think he also was very excited but anxious, because we were wedding photographers and all of this, and we were like with big expectations about everything. But I think one of the important parts is that since he was from Germany, and since he was all about the connection and just really enjoying with the couple, he really understood everything that we were doing. The first time we talked with him, I think we spent like 2 hours. I think it was Skype by then. I don't remember. And we didn't talk about the wedding at all. We just talked about weird things and Germany and Mexico. And I think he traveled before to Latin America, but never to Mexico. So he was super excited. And our wedding was kind of this Tarantino style, like in the desert, and everything was kind of like that. So he was absolutely excited, and I told him exactly what we wanted to do in our wedding and what little traditions we wanted to keep, like, important to us. And we really wanted to have a very Mexican wedding.
Yeah.
And he was super excited. So I think that helped a lot. Maybe if I will hire like a Mexican photographer very used to these kind of weddings, it will be different because it's not as exciting sometimes for someone who is doing the same thing over and over again. So, but it was amazing. The experience with him was amazing, and he showed like every little detail of our wedding, like everything, because our wedding was very intentional about everything. We didn't wanted to have, like flowers and all of these big expenses. So everything was very intentional, and he really captured all of that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Nice.
I want to go back to your work, because you mentioned being drawn to elopements and more like being drawn to the intimacy, those intimate weddings. What about them is yeah, what draws you to them and not the bigger weddings?
I actually this weekend I have, I think, my bigger wedding ever.
Oh, right, okay.
It was so fun because I'm always like marketing myself like a very intimate destination wedding photographer, and I want to always to do a lot of elopements, even more than weddings, because I felt in those experiences the couple really connect with me, and even if they have an elopement with little family like 5 people or 8 or 10, I think it's something super beautiful, and everybody is just very present to what they're doing and just celebrating their love. But to be honest, I've been learning in the past year that sometimes in bigger weddings that happens as well. Like it's not common. It's not usually a lot of brides, especially in this part of Mexico, because it's very famous for big weddings and longer weddings, like 4 or 5 days of partying. It's the typical Vogue wedding or big magazine wedding, and they want everything to be like a magazine. But fortunately, like all of my clients, please you,
Thank you.
have been very intimate in that aspect, and they always connect with me, and I've always have a lot of communication with them. I am very controlling, and I'm kind of like another little wedding planner. So for me, for me it's super important to always meet the couple and being with them during this whole process. Like even to know like what kind of stakes they are having, what kind of flowers and the colors and all of these, especially because if I'm shooting with film, I really want to choose the film that they will love as well in their photos, and these colors and these tones and everything. So I think my experience with bigger weddings, it's the same as very, very intimate. So that's a good thing that I've been proud myself about this, because I think it's more about the connection they have, and it's been always about couples, very lovely couples. They really love each other. They explode with love, and everybody loves them. So I think that's amazing. If I have maybe an inquiry of a wedding of 300 people, I won't do it, because no, because that's too crazy for me. It's very stressful, but especially not because I can do it. Of course I can do it, and I have very good friends who can be my second shooters and all of this. But I think since I get very, very involved during their process all the times, I think that will be very stressful for me, because I'm like all year with them, like with emails, with Instagram, with Pinterest boards, with all of this. So when the day of the wedding day comes, I really know everything that is happening. Of course, I know that I can control everything and that things happen and last minute changes happen. But I really know like who is the important family, even if it's a bigger wedding, or what are their situations, if someone recently died or things like that. I am really involved with them. So imagine if I'm doing like a 300 people wedding, that will be crazy. But yes, I definitely prefer intimate weddings. Maybe up to 70 or 80 people. I think that's my common kind of wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Now, I noticed that you do not have a website as of right now. Is that correct?
Oh my gosh, my website.
What's going on with it? Because I'm pretty sure when I found you and your work, you did have a website.
Yes.
And then I asked you to come on the podcast. You were like, "Yay!" And then I went to do some research, and it was gone. I'm like, I like a challenge. What's going on with your website? What's happening over there?
I'm really bummed that you can see my website right now, because it's going to be like perfect for me. I've been working with this designer. She's from Canada. She's it was a dream for me to work with her for a long time. So last year, which is one of my busiest years of all this time, I reached out to her, and she was amazing, very professional, because I had bad experiences with designers in the past. So I was kind of, oh my God, I've always did everything myself for websites. Like I work on Squarespace. I help my husband with his website. It's been like a headache. So this time I was like, I need to really invest in my dream designer. So I hired her. She's been amazing. She's been super, super punctual with everything. But since I am so controlling and very, very specific about things, my website is almost done. Like really, I just have to check a little things, but I changed like a couple pictures, and I just read everything again, like my whole story and everything. And it's still there, like incoming soon, but I think it's almost ready. I hope next week is ready.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes, I'm super excited because she really understood everything that I really wanted to have there. And since I've been trying to explain a lot why it's film so important to me, I think I had like pages and pages and pages of copy and information, and I can't believe how she managed to put everything there and make it look super beautiful. So hopefully you can see it in the next week, I think.
Yeah. I mean, by the time this episode comes out, you will probably have a website.
Yeah.
Although that being said, I mean, we too have had troubles in the past where we've been given a deadline, and it's not happened. So
it's that, as you say, sometimes you're perfectionist and quite controlling as creatives, like we were as well. Sometimes you get to the point where you're like, it's pretty much there. Done is better than perfect. I just need to launch it and then iron out the bits after that.
Are we all admitting in this conversation that we are difficult clients? Is that what we're saying?
Probably.
I think you should ask Shana, the designer. I've always fortunately, I think I've just have in my whole experience as a wedding photographer, I just had like maybe a couple weird things with clients, but it's been always about a lack of understanding or communication, because when I send an email back or something like that, they are like, oh, you're right. Like it was just things like that. You I've been sending like long emails to my designer, but
Mhm.
I think all the time I'm trying to be very specific with what I want to change or what I really want. And I'm always like starting and finishing like, Shana, hello, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. I hope this is not too much work. Like, so I hope I'm not like a difficult client. I think I really know what I wanted.
Yeah.
But it's been amazing because she really put everything there, and I really can't believe how, because I made like the biggest Pinterest board with movies and things that inspire me and even places, and he he managed to translate that into the website.
Mhm.
So I'm really excited.
What's his business name? Just so we can help alleviate.
Yeah, her name is Shana Bailey, and the brand is Lady B Creative.
Maybe
She's
be creative.
amazing.
Lady.
Lady
lady.
B.
Oh,
Lady
Lady
B.
B.
Yeah.
So what is the direction for the new website and brand? What are you trying to say with your message you're putting out there?
You're I think you're going to laugh at me, but I've always loved vampires. Not like
Yes.
the
I'm not laughing. I love the vampires too.
So I'm very obsessed with this movie, Only Lovers Left Alive. I don't know if you have seen the movie.
I've not.
And well, I really love this movie, and they are. If you haven't seen the movie, I won't tell what it's about, but they're just the coolest couple of vampires who live separate, and at one point they are in Morocco, which is like a dream place for me. I've been there twice, but I will live there. I love it. And this movie is super inspiring for me. I love it. Like I would love that all of my couples were like them. And so I told Shanna I really love like Morocco, and how in Marrakesh everything is like very light, but at the same time very dark and kind of orangey, and I love this kind of red, but not super red like like Scorsese red, but more orangey. So she made my logo with this more like gothic font, and I really love it. And so the new website, I think it's very beautiful because it's very clean, but at the same time, it has a lot of what I do, which is film everywhere. So you can see a lot of Polaroids pumping out and a lot of text, but very beautifully designed. And you have a lot of red there, which I really love. And it's very rock and roll. I think it looks very cool. I'm anxious because you can see it, but I hope you can see it.
So we can't see the website, but I've gone on to Lady B Creative, and 34 weeks ago she posted some of your content, so you can get a kind of vibe.
You see the font choice and the rock and roll feel to it.
Yeah, that kind of red, black, and very cool.
It's interesting that you said that you used a movie as one of the main sort of inspirations, because when you look at your portfolio, cinematic and like nostalgic are words that come to mind when you look at it. So how would you describe your photography to someone?
I think nostalgic is a big word that I will use. I think it's very romantic, and I think it's also very intimate, which is fun because, as I told you, sometimes if I shoot a bigger wedding, let's say more than 80 people, I think a cool thing when I'm always looking at the pictures or editing, I see that I have just a lot of intimate moments because I don't know, I'm always very close to the couple or to the immediate family or the best friends. So I think I can really capture these intimate moments, even if it's a bigger party. Um, so I think it's romantic, it's intimate. I never thought it was cinematic, but I love to think that. And I would love to say that it has like this glimpse of rock and roll, and it's something I'm very inspired by art in general, but I will say that music is my biggest source of inspiration. So I've always want to have to like in my weddings to have these kind of rock and roll pictures, like the 60s or the 70s rock
Yeah.
covers. So
Yeah.
I really really love flashy black and white or the grainy and all of these. And it's fun because a lot of my brides, they are always very fashion, but also really rock and roll as well. So they are super pretty and super elegant, but they really love these pictures more with more movement and very with a more dark perspective, I think, in the night. So it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I'm looking forward to seeing when the whole website comes up. What, like, for those
I feel
struggle?
more pressure now.
No,
with you
no, no, no,
guys
no.
for the website.
Please don't feel pressure. For those struggling with finding an aesthetic for their brand, what advice would you give them?
I will say that whenever they can, they should invest in a good designer, like in a not only for just the web, because you can really have a beautiful images and a beautiful website that you can put yourself together on any platform, but to have someone to guide you and have this your complete brand and help you choosing like colors and your words. And it was a different process that I have with Shana right now, because she made me think a lot of, because I've always knew that my work was like romantic and very rock and roll and all of this, but she put me homework, so that was very nice for me to think about everything, that why I'm doing this and why I want what I want to translate to my couples. And because I think the ideal client is someone that really feels like you and loves your movies and all of this. So I think it's super important if someone is very, very lost to really try to invest. I'm not saying like in the most famous designer, but in a designer that can help you create your brand, and you will find a lot of clarity finding your colors, the things that you are passionate about, that inspire you. And then I think everything goes more easily for the website and your copy, what you want to say and all of this. But I think it's super important to have um, a website, a good presence online. It's like, for me, it's I can't believe how many really professional photographers don't have a website. For me, it's crazy, because the first thing I send to my couples or inquiries or anything, it's look at my website, look at these galleries, look at these full weddings. So for me, it's crazy when someone just books something for WhatsApp or Instagram or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've never understood that. I actually do think that a website will be super, super important from now moving forward into the next couple of years. With all the, well, I mean, there are certain things happening on certain social media platforms that are really interesting. I'll put it that way. But yeah, I've really started to enjoy. the darker side of love and passion, you know, and you don't often see that as much in weddings, which I find quite strange, and maybe not that strange, because I know society is like averse to sexual imagery, but like vampires are quite an erotic theme in literature, right? With the whole blood and eternal love, and they're very passionate and they're ravenous. Like, is that going to come through in your work when you start to shoot weddings and have a website? Are you going to be pushing the boundaries a lot? Because I think there are certain creatives who lean into that more than others, and their work is quite standout. So I'm just intrigued whether or not you're going to be diving into that side of love or passion, or just keep
That's
it.
no, that's a good question. I never thought that. I don't know. Maybe I think with especially with film, I'm always trying to experiment, even just buying cameras that I see on my way. So I really love to always try to give my clients different things that they haven't seen before, but especially on film, when they are having film. I think I get even more creative when I shoot Polaroids, because for me each Polaroid is like it's magic, and each moment has to be very, very unique, and it has to be something that you won't have on digital or any other film format. So especially with the Polaroids, I really love to capture more about this darkness of the wedding, this to look for this, because each wedding has like a very dark side. I'm not saying, dark like something sad or bad or weird. I think it's something beautiful. Even maybe you are seeing like a nice space with very dark and with a very beautiful light, and the picture that you can create there, it's very different if you do it on the garden with all the lighting and all the flowers and just the whole bride, with the white dress. So I think I always love to look for that kind of darkness with the film, especially with the Polaroids. But when I'm saying I love vampires, it's because I really love the like the mysterious side of the love, and how love is eternal, and how this can be very, very creative. And I don't know, it's something that I've always loved. I think one of the first books I read when I was a kid, it was an interview with the vampire. So I was very
movie when I was younger.
so yes.
Yeah. Have you when you were describing your style and your vision, have you heard of Muse and Mirror?
Yes.
Yeah. It struck me as quite similar the way you were describing, because they've got kind of a gothic almost aesthetic to them, that kind of dark and passion filled imagery.
I would love to be even more dark with my photographs. I think it also depends, because even if I want to be very creative with that here in Mexico, everything is very colorful, and especially the weddings here, everything is super, super colorful. But the nice thing, one of the things that I really try and love to do each year is maybe a couple of editorials, just ideas that I have to inspire either photographers or brides for me. And I think it was last year or 2 years ago. I did this shoot with a bride all in red with the red flowers and
Mm-hmm.
purple tones and everything very dark, red veil. And one of my brides from last year used it as inspiration for their wedding. So everything was
Yeah.
darker. And the whole flowers for the wedding was everything was very red, very beautiful.
Mm.
They had a lot of red candles everywhere in the dinner. So it was super romantic, and I felt like, oh, this is like very vampiresque, So I
Yeah.
really love that. Yeah, I really love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So I want to talk more about the kind of formats that you choose, because, looking through your portfolio, or at least looking at some of your portfolio on Instagram, it's very clear that you are attracted to that kind of film aesthetic.
Polaroid.
The Polaroids, can you tell me more about that? Like, what draws you to that format?
Yes. It's another fun story because I always say all of this obsession. I'm as you can see, I'm very obsessed about a lot of things. But this, especially this film look obsession, I think it began with my dad, because he's the biggest rock and roll fan ever. He has a great rock collection. He's obsessed about the Beatles and Bob Dylan and all the great bands. So when I was a kid, he used to make me watch his rock and roll concerts, like the on tape.
Yeah.
But I was just a kid, so to be honest, that was on my new website. You have all these stories, so it's going to be fun to read for my clients. So I wasn't really interested about that, because I was, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years. I don't remember. So we were like seeing all these concerts, like The Clash and David Bowie and Iggy Pop, and I was super bored. But I think that really, really marked me, because when I was starting growing up, I started to enjoying all of this, and he is also very obsessive, especially with his music. So
Yeah. Okay.
he wants to have everything arranged by alphabetical order and all of this. I
Mhm.
I have a record collection as well, and I am the same. So
Yes, I am.
everything that I criticize, I am.
I completely understand you. All my vinyls are in alphabetical order. And let me tell you something. I am dyslexic, so I've never really, my brain doesn't think with letters, but when it comes to the vinyl, I don't know. There's something about organization. I don't know.
I'm the same with my books. Nobody can touch my books. Like,
Yeah.
yes. And I have a brother. My brother, he's also he's actually a writer. So when he comes to my house, he's like, I need to change your books. Like, this is bad. So back to the film.
Yeah.
I started helping my dad arrange his record collection.
Mhm.
So he always take off the dust and take each record, and we used to read the lyrics and all of this. So I got super obsessed about the 60s and all of these weird people in the covers and all the rock and rollers, and most of the color and everything was on film by then. The black and white, the concert, the tapes, all of this. And I wanted to have a Polaroid camera, and I was with my dad. He's also like an amateur photographer. He always had a lot of cameras. So I was like, Dad, I want a Polaroid camera. I wanted to be like Andy Warhol. Like I even dress like Andy Warhol. I have
Okay.
like my glasses and everything. he was like, "Why you want a Polaroid?" Because it was starting like the digital era. So my dad, like, he used to bring cameras from the US, like very modern and digital. And I was like, I want a Polaroid, please, please, please. So I never have the Polaroid. Um, and then when I started to growing up, I still wanted to have my Polaroid camera. So one day I was maybe like 16 or 15 or something like that. My dad gave me a Polaroid, but it was a very old one, and I don't know where he found it, but it wasn't able to shoot. And so I was like, but it is not working, this camera. So I bought like an Instax, the Fujifilm camera,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
started to have my phone like, oh, this is like almost like a Polaroid, but not yet. And I started shooting film because my dad had a lot of cameras also, 35. So I still wanted to have my Polaroid, and I think it was like 6, I think like 6 years ago, I really bought like my own Polaroid. It was a more modern Polaroid than the one my dad gave me. So I started shooting Polaroids, but I wanted to start like a portfolio. So what I started doing, when I helped my husband, sometimes as a second shooter, he was shooting weddings, and I was like, "Can I use my Polaroid for a couple moments?" And he was
Yeah.
kind of, because we are kind of jealous sometimes from each other on the actual wedding day, because time is everything, especially if you are shooting film. So he's like, "Yeah, you can do it, but don't take too long," and like that. And he takes a lot of time also. So I was like, okay, starting to shoot a lot of Polaroids on when I was helping him, and I didn't have like the stress of shooting the whole wedding. Um, and I started like posting on Instagram, and that was the beginning. But I really, really love the film and the film look, the nostalgia. I think it brings me back to this time where I was a kid and I was very obsessed about all these records, and seeing these videos, and just this time when everything was more excited because you didn't know what you were going to get when you develop your films and all of that. Um, so yeah, I really, really love I think it's something that digital can give you. It can be replicated by digital. Um, and I always try to mix not only Polaroids, but medium format, or just I have a lot of weird cameras that I found in bazaars, or Lomo cameras or things like that. So I think that's super nice for a full wedding when you mix everything.
Yeah.
My ultimate goal is to one day shoot weddings 100% on film. I'm scared, but I think it's a dream that hopefully I can achieve soon. And yeah, I think it's challenging for a photographer to create with film. And right now the thing is that I always try to give the couples something on film that they are not having on digital. So I think that's more interesting for your work and your creativity on the day, and it's super fun. It's super
Yeah.
fun for me to shoot a wedding with all of this. It's super fun. Sometimes it gets difficult because I have a lot of different cameras on me. But yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. You've got a lot of cameras, but like, what is your digital camera and lens that you're using on a wedding day? And then along with that, what is your go-to? Like, if you had to rely on one film camera, what would be your choice?
Oh, that's so difficult.
Yeah, it is.
Um, It's like if you are asking me about my favorite movie or um on my digital gear. It's a Nikon. I always bring a 35 lens, also a 50. For film, sometimes I have a zoom also, but I try not to use it a lot. Um, for film, that's very difficult, but I will say that either to have a Polaroid for the wedding day or the medium format as well.
Yeah.
So
What?
I think
Sorry, I was just going to ask. So, what is your approach with the Polaroids? Do you like scan them there on site and then give them to the couple, or do you post them to the couple later on?
I always uh, have my Polaroids with me. After the wedding, I scan the Polaroids, and I also edit each one of the Polaroids, because even with if you have like a great scanner, you have little spots or just things like contrast or remember I'm very obsessed. So I want their digital Polaroid to see exactly how the paper looks like. So most of the times it's just if a little spot or the contrast or something like that. So I edit each one of the Polaroids. Usually for a wedding day, I shoot 5 packages of Polaroids, or 6, or sometimes 8. So they can have later an album, a little Polaroid album with all
Cool.
the photos, and I just ship it to them. But once the final gallery is ready, so
Yeah.
after a couple months, I send them their little Polaroid album, and it's nice because I think they don't even remember that they have the little album,
Yeah.
and it's nice because they can have it now on paper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool. I want to talk more about your approach, especially with couples, because I know obviously you've mentioned intimate weddings and stuff, but I feel it's quite hard to capture intimate moments with normal people. How do you approach your couple session during a wedding? Is there any like are you posing people? Do you have poses in mind when you go to a wedding? Are you simply letting natural moments develop?
I never have specific poses. I really hate to pose them, but sometimes, especially because I shoot a lot of multi-day weddings. So for most of these weddings, they have a previous couple session. Sometimes this couple session is months ahead their wedding, because they are coming to planning the wedding, or to just to meet me, or food tasting or something like that. And we take advantage of that, and we create the photo session. So that's pretty nice because it's like a preparation for the wedding, and it helps me seeing how they are together, and I always focus on that, on how they react to each other, if they are very touchy, or if they are more kind of, I don't want to kiss you, or things like that, because there are couples who are more, like they don't like to kiss in front of the camera or hold hands or things like that. And there are couples who can separate from each other. So that helps me a lot to see that. And I think in that moment, I always try to just capture their love, how it is. I always, most of the times, I give them directions, but just to make them look good, if they are looking weird, with the arm or things like that. But
Yeah.
it's more about directing them and not posing. Like I don't have like poses saved on my phone, like, oh, let's do this, or copying
Yeah.
things. I really don't like to do that. And I think 100% of my couples, they always told me, we look weird in front of the camera. We don't like photos, but we love your work. Always, they always tell me that.
Yeah.
And it's super fun because when you are able to see my website, you will see that they look amazing and they look very, very, like they feel very good in front of the camera. And all of these couples told me they look weird. So I think on the actual wedding day, I think it also has a lot to do that we prepare a lot for the wedding, like the whole year, not every day, of course, but since I have a lot of communication with them, we really prepare. I always help them create a timeline, even if they have their own timeline with the planner. I always have like a couple video calls with them, and I want to know what they are doing, what they really want to do on the wedding day, if they want to have people with them, if prepare enough time with these Miriam family portraits, the first look, all of these things. I talk to them. So I think that helps them a lot to relax on the actual event. They feel better also with me, like taking photos. Most of the times also I am shooting their previous events, like a welcome dinner or a rehearsal dinner, a welcome party, a pool party, anything. So they also feel more relaxed because I am around. And that is also very helpful with all the guests, because the first time the guest sees you is like, who is this? And I don't want to talk with you. And by 1 hour later, when they are having drinks or they are like more relaxed, they are like, oh, you're the photographer. So usually on the wedding day, it's like you are one of the guests and everybody feels good with you and everybody wants to have a shot with you and things like this. So I think you can see that on my photos, because they feel good with me, and it is important that I try not to post them, and they usually really love that I'm not about just posting people or in a specific place, or if it's a famous venue. Usually I see a lot of on Instagram, a lot of posting or copying the same spots or the same poses and all of this. So they really love that they see more candid moments of the couples or their guests for that.
Hey, I'm Ashley from With Jack. I'm one of the sponsors of the Perspective podcast. With Jack helps to keep photographers in business by supporting them financially and legally if they have problems with a client or they make a mistake in their work. We've all had that fear of our CF card or our hard drive failing and losing important photos. You can find out more at withjack.co.uk. Head over there and find out how we can help you be a confident creative.
On a more technical side of things, like Polaroids are very unpredictable with what you're going to get as your output. And people are maybe put off by that or scared of it. Do you have any tips or tricks that maximizes the results from a Polaroid, or do you just lean into those imperfections?
Both. Yeah, on the other side, Polaroids, especially, for example, for medium, when I'm shooting medium format portraits with a couple, I try to direct them a little bit more, or just saying like, because I have a lot of couples who are more like me, like more calm and, but I have a lot of couples very fun and they are talking all the time, and I have to tell them like, guys, just wait, I'm taking film. So just try to look at each other or hug or something like that, but don't talk, because if I'm shooting film, they need to just stay still or things like that. So I give them that direction, especially with medium format. If I'm shooting Polaroids, if I have a specific idea like a bride or just a solo portrait or something like that,
Mhm.
maybe I need to pose her a little bit, but it's not like something awkward. It's a situation where she feels good, she feels natural, or things like that. But I'm trying to do both. Some a little bit more pose photos for the Polaroids, but also try to embrace the mess of the party and the mess of the day, and try to have these photos of how everything looks like the whole party, or the table, or the candles, or just the flowers, or things like that. And you can control what is happening, like if everything is moving, or if someone passes, or things like that. So I'm trying to have a little bit of both.
Yeah. You know, it's funny you mentioned about trying to encourage couples not to talk, because sometimes because obviously we do video, and if we're working alongside a photographer, we'll work quite closely, and we try to keep things as casual as possible. But sometimes I need couples' mouths not to be moving, because as soon as you see moving mouths in a shot, it gets very distracting.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
but how rude does it sound if I'm like, right, guys, stop talking? Do you have any techniques that I could implement, like to encourage people not to talk?
I think it's always important to, especially because since you are always working with photographers, sometimes when I'm working with video as well, we try to have turns for each thing, because it's difficult, and they are like, the couple are going to be super excited, and sometimes desperate because they want to go to the cocktail or things like that. So I think the best thing is to try to have little turns. And if you are having a photographer who is just shooting digital and they need their directions or their specific directions because they are having film as well, if you can capture, I'm sure you can try to capture all the moments. But if then you need something specific, just don't hesitate and just ask directly to the couple, like, guys, this is video, so now just focus on your video moment and let's do this. And it's kind of the best thing I really love to do, because I know how important their video is as well. And I've always tried to collaborate with the videographers. I really love when the videographers also take direction and they want to do their own thing. I really hate when the video is just behind you and
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
steal all the shoots. And when you see the wedding video, you see like all of just the photos that you did, and
Yeah.
or things like that. So I really love when you have your own ideas, and because they also hire you because of a specific thing. So that's important, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think videographers can get quite nervous about trying to put their own stamp on a shoot. You know, to have a say in the session with a photographer.
Yeah.
So if you're listening out there and you're a video person, don't be scared. You're okay. Just be a nice person and you'll get
Don't
along.
be scared.
Yeah,
Don't be scared.
It's okay.
So
Let us hold your hand.
how does your post-production workflow look? Because obviously you've got a lot of different formats. Are you trying to get an editing style that merges them and keeps them all kind of cohesive? Or
Yes.
yeah, like how are you going about that?
For everything, I've always tried to, just for the digital work, try to have all the colors and everything very close to the film. So when I mentioned before that I like to know what kind of flowers they're having, what kind of colors, if it's a very colorful wedding or it's just a everything white wedding or sometimes black or things like that. I really love to do that because it helps me a lot also for the post-production. Because if I have just tons of photos on film with different colors and different type of films, it's crazy and it's way more work.
Yeah.
So I always try to think about that before the shooting. And then on the editing process, I edit everything on Lightroom first. I put all the film there. Sometimes I do it before, but usually later I edit the Polaroids on Photoshop. Each Polaroid goes to Photoshop. And then I bring all the Polaroids to the final gallery on Lightroom when I have everything and I put everything in order. And then I go to exposure for alien skin, for especially just the skins, all of that, all the portraits goes to alien skin. So it's a long process. It's very long.
Yeah. Well, why Photoshop?
I think I'm used to it. I know Lightroom now; it's super modern, but I've been trying, and I prefer Photoshop. I don't know.
Hey, we've all got our little things that we like.
Yeah, it's something weird. I love how my husband, he's like very up to he's the Photoshop master, and he loves to edit as well. And he's always telling me like, "Why are you taking so long? Like, you can do this on Lightroom or just go to this." And I'm like, "Let me have my process." And yeah, I think I don't know. I'm used to it, and I think all the tools that I have in Photoshop are everything that I need to make the Polaroid just as perfect as I want to. And then I don't touch the film photos and the Polaroid after that. Everything goes to exposure, but I only retouch the digital wedding. Just for I put grain there and just for the digital, and I fix the skins, all of the skins, and then I export, and then I upload the gallery.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, but it's a long process.
I was going to ask, how long does it usually take you to edit from start to finish once you've got your gallery, and how long do you take to deliver? Because I know some photographers kind of hold off the images for more of an impact on delivery. So what's your thoughts?
No, I like my delivery time. It's about 10 to 14 weeks after the wedding. Sometimes I take less time just to edit. I don't take like the 14 weeks editing, but I like to have a little bit of time, especially because of when I'm very, very busy. I try not to have a lot of weddings on the same month because I got crazy. But just life happens, and sometimes you get sick or anything happens or something happens to a family member or something. So I really love to have a little bit of time just to have to just have time to be human just for a little bit. So usually if I'm super concentrated, if I have nothing else to do, which is weird because every day everything is happening, I can edit a full wedding from beginning to end maybe in 2 or 3 weeks. But I have to be like in my computer all day long, and so that's crazy. Sometimes I can be like the whole week editing and like a vampire when it's Saturday or Sunday and I want to see my parents or something. I'm like, oh, the sun is hurting me and I don't want to go out. But I really love to just when I think the most difficult part is once everything is filtered and I can start the Lightroom process. That's the most difficult for me because it's like, okay, I even though I have my presets and I know how everything wanted to look, for everyone is like, okay, this is kind of the tone that I want, or this is more warm, or this is going to be more cold, or things like that. So that's the the difficult part for me.
Yeah.
Once I finish editing the wedding on Lightroom, then I like to take a couple of days because maybe the wedding is a mess or maybe it's perfect, but I like to go away from the house for a couple of days if I can, and then go back and see everything. So once I see everything and I pick some things, if my husband has time and he's willing to, he helps me also like seeing all the wedding, which is pretty awesome because I know a lot of photographers they are on their own and it's great for us. It's great to work together in that way because I also can see their wedding once he edits, and most of the times it's super dark. He's darker than me, so it's super dark and I'm like, this is super dark. So just so it's good to have this second vision and this to see your whole wedding before, because for exposure for the skins and all of that, it's just like the final touch. It's not fixing colors and all of that. So the wedding has to be perfect on Lightroom before going to exposure.
Yeah. Are you good at taking his criticism? Like if he says there's something wrong with this gallery, no. Does it cause a bit of friction sometimes? Yeah.
I think we never fight, but I think our fights are about anything or something that happens on the wedding day or things like that. It's funny. That's why, because he always wanted to, he has this idea that one day we must have like a brand together, like something together with both of us. And I'm like, no, I don't want. It's going to be super difficult. Right now, we are starting to offer Super 8 films, and it's being crazy times because we have been like editing a couple of videos films that we did together, and it's been crazy. And I was like, you need to do your own editing. I have to do my own because we have different styles. Even though our process in general is kind of the same and our approach with couples and all of this, our styles are very different and our way to work it's different as well. So I think it's good to have things separate. I always I know his criticism is for the best, but sometimes it's difficult because I'm thinking why I did that, or things like that. So I'm trying to be more patient. He tries as well, but it's hard because we are both very passionate about what we are doing, so it gets difficult sometimes.
Yeah. I think that's only natural, like as any creative, when someone says, do you not want to change this? To just be like, but I did it for a reason. Like they're just it's not easy to take critique. It's never criticism, it's critique.
Yeah. I used to get mildly offended by clients when they used to ask to change like something like a song. I mean, this was years ago. Just because, you spend a lot of time trying to create something that you think is going to be absolutely amazing. And then when they don't feel that joy that I don't know. I used to. I mean, now I don't. I'm just like, Sure, not a problem, because you have to understand the film is not for you. It is for them. So yeah, you can kind of understand. But that was a wee bit of a pride thing when I was in my early years. In fact, right now I am going back through our films from last year and the year before to change up our video on our homepage, right? And I'm looking back at our films with kind of a negative eye on them. Not negative, overly critical. I feel like maybe every so often I go on a creative change, and then I look back at my work and I think, just not feeling it as I once did. Are you the same? Like, can you look back at your older photos and think, not feeling it as much?
Sometimes I think. Well, I know it's very different from video. I actually have a couple of good friends who are videographers and sometimes work with me in weddings or elopements.
Yep.
And one time I felt so bad because this friend, he's like one of the best artists out there for video. He's amazing. And he came to shoot an elopement with me, and the couple didn't felt like his vibe, but it was weird because they talk a lot and they already knew how he wanted to work. He is like more about freedom and like creating a movie for them and all of this. At the end, they changed everything for their video, and he was kind of very sad about that. So, and for me, I have a great experience with photo with the couple. So I know it's super different, and I know it's super difficult to be videographers. So, sorry, what was the last question?
I actually can't remember. I was about to ask who your friend was, just so I can see what their work is like.
His name is Steo Colombo. He's Italian.
Sorry, say that again.
Stefano Colombo.
Sorry, guys, ask away.
While Simon looks that up, I'll continue on. So you mentioned that you deliver your Polaroids in an album. How else, how are you delivering the full gallery to your clients? What sort of system are you using for that? Or is there any other albums included?
I offer also albums, but it's something that I'm not doing that much right now. So I send everything on peak time. I send all their film also is there. They have everything. They have the Polaroids, everything on digital, everything there. So they have everything on peak time.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't remember the question.
That's okay. I can't remember either.
I totally forgot. Well, you because we're talking about video.
It was being overly critical about your own work.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what I was talking about video, but yes, it happens to me sometimes that since I am spending a lot of time editing, I think I get overwhelmed with the wedding at the end. And when I start editing, I'm super excited most of the times, and I'm like, seeing what I could do that I didn't do, or things that I really love that I didn't notice at the moment, and I love the final result or things like that. But once if I am super busy and I get overwhelmed with work and I'm still editing the wedding, I think that starts to happen. This wedding was I wasn't good enough for them, but it's not that common, but that sometimes happen. And something very helpful is I asked my husband, like, can you come and see this wedding or this photo because I can fix it, or I really used to I thought I loved this picture but now I hate it. And sometimes he comes and he's like, what you're talking about, the picture is super beautiful, or this is
Yeah.
amazing, or it's in your head, just go and take a nap or go take a shower or something. So that I think that happens more usually when I'm editing, and it's like, since it's a long process, I kind of get tired of the pictures and all of this.
Yeah,
I think
I'm the same. Like Greg's always like, "Hey, did you do the social media clips?" I'm just like, I just need a break. I just need a break from this wedding.
yeah,
I
I
love
think
the
your
couples.
your
Yeah.
approach of taking a few days away from it before going back, having a look again, and then delivering is great. Like just that coming back to it with a fresh eye, because your eyes can get so tired of
Yeah.
the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah, like literally, you can see colors differently the more you look at
Yes.
them. So, like, even on a physical, your eyes actually see colors differently. You should remove yourself and come back. I just meant on a pure spirit level. I can't look at this wedding anymore.
Yeah,
That's terrible,
that
couples.
happens. I think that
Yeah.
happens to most of. Well, for me, it's crazy how photographers can just go to the wedding and edit the wedding like within a week and just deliver like a whole wedding.
Yeah.
For me, it's crazy because even if I were able to do that, I will take the time to just get away from the computer and just give it a couple days and then go back and see the wedding. But a lot of photographers, they are just like, no, I want to go for the next client and here's your gallery and go ahead.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
I mean, I'm not bashing any other photographer out there, but it's not for me.
Yeah, I know.
Tell me about your films. Obviously, you said you do Super 8 films. Why have you started doing Super 8 films? And is this a recent thing?
Yes. Well,
Right,
not
okay.
it's something that you are going to be able to see on the new website once more. Um, Super 8. When I got married, when we got married, actually, I wanted to have a filmmaker doing a Super 8. It's something that I just really, really love out there, and I couldn't find anyone by that time. Of course, we were super excited about having Bjorn as our photographer, and it was a great investment because he was coming from Germany. So we were like, okay, we're having our dream photographer.
Yeah.
Let's don't. It doesn't matter. So I always love these films, and I always seeing like my life when we don't have kids, but if we have kids, I would love to have videos of them, on Super 8, the family vacations, or even with, I don't know, a video of my grandma or things like this. And we started searching for cameras, and it was a long search. Like we spent like, because of course my husband is also shooting film and all of this. We are fighting for our camera sometimes. So I think last year we found one camera in Mexico City, because Mexico City is great for, you have like a long street where you can find these vintage cameras.
Cool.
But it started like to be very fashionable here, and not all, but a lot of videographers started to buy cameras and offering this. And Noel and I were like, where we are going to find like a camera, so we found one, we try it, we send the films to the lab, and incredibly the films were amazing. Like, it was our first time shooting Super 8, and I love it. I think the idea of having this for weddings, it is just because I will really love to have that for my own wedding, and to see now like all of everything that I planned and everything that we did together for a wedding, because we did a lot of things like for us, like the plans and the gifts for our guests and just a lot of little things. So I'm thinking a lot about that, and I think if the couples see a film about these details and the flowers they choose and their food and little moments, I think that will be amazing. So that's the idea for this year. We've been shooting just like 3-4 films right now, but I'm pretty excited. We went to Argentina this past Christmas, and my husband found a camera there that he was very excited about, but it's not working. So we have like a couple cameras that we found, and right now they are not working. But we hope that we can fix them in Mexico City. We have also another cameras that are working, but we also did a workshop there in Argentina with Ignacio Tamarit. He's also a filmmaker. He does everything with film, and he's amazing. So we did this workshop, and it was great inspiration because he really does. He creates art with Super 8, which is something we right now, especially because he's young as well. And in the workshop, there was like young people, younger than us, like 23-year-old. So for me, it was like super inspiring because the young people is also going for these vintage things. And for me, it's amazing that it's not about just having everything on your phone and just everything about digital, and in your phone you are going to lose it or just erase it. So I think it's a complement of everything that I really want to do with the photography on film. I think it's going to be amazing once couples want to have like the whole nostalgia experience with having more time, having to be more present, and just enjoying their wedding, because they need to have also time to create on film, on like with the Super 8 and also with all the formats for the photography.
Yeah. So how does it actually fit in on the day? Are you doing photo and video, or is your husband doing the video and you're doing the photos? How's that working?
We are still trying to figure that out, because the idea right now, because we are both busy with different clients. So whenever I'm offering this experience with Super 8 and also the the mix of film photography, my idea will be that Nahuel comes to shoot Super 8 and he focus on the Super 8, because there's right now no one else that I can really trust on having that. Sometimes he also shoots film if I get so overwhelmed because I have all these cameras, so he helps me with film. But I really won't trust any other photographer to shoot film for my wedding as well. But most of the times, if I'm having a wedding where they want film and want all this mix, I focus on the film, and the other photographer focus on more the digital stuff.
Right.
So, of course, I'm also covering the whole wedding digital, but I focus on these little moments on film. So the idea right now is that he can come with me and shoot the Super 8, but we know that it's going to be difficult because he has his own wedding. So sometimes I will need to find a couple of filmmakers that are experienced with the Super 8, so I can hardened for this day to come with me and shoot the film.
Yeah.
And he wants to also incorporate Super 8, so it will be the same. If I can come with him, I can shoot Super 8, but he also wants to shoot Super 8, so it's
Yeah.
like
It's exciting.
I think it depends on the wedding. It depends on each client also and how we can work it out.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I fancy seeing some of Anna's work. Chantel? Anna, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to do show and tell, which is where I pick a handful of your images from your portfolio to talk about. So, yeah,
Okay.
cables
Ready?
everywhere. Hang on. Right, so this image I picked first because I know you're into kind of vampires, which I feel there's a supernatural element to it. And this image, I think, is a double exposure. And that, so Bride on a Cliff, it kind of, and just a lone bride on a cliff, there are so many, like, ghost stories, supernatural stories, which end up with a bride left alone somewhere. And there's like this haunting aspect to this image. And I don't know if it's intentional, but it comes off as that to me, a kind of lonely, ghostly figure. But I want to hear your thoughts on this image. What's the process behind it? Did you have a mindset when you created it?
I love that you're saying that because that was actually what I was thinking when I put the bride there.
Yeah.
It was a destination wedding in Todos Santos in Baja California. This is such a nice place because you can see like the whole ocean and you have this little mountain there. I'm very scared of the heights, so I was scared.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I was so scared taking this photo because you can really see it there, but it was crazy. Like one step and you go to the sea. So it was the previous couple session. Like I think it was 2 days before the wedding, this one or 1 day, and I was kind of thinking she looked amazing there, and I was reading Jane Eyre by this time.
Okay.
And this is actually one of my favorite movies, and I also finished Wuthering Heights. So I was thinking she looks just like like a Victorian ghost there. She looks amazing, and I had a Holga that I was taking photos for the first time. It is not a double exposure, but
Right,
it is
okay.
the Holga.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the groom was like right next to me. He was a little bit hungover, so he felt kind of dizzy with the heights. So I was like, "Let's take photos of you. Like, don't worry." And my husband also was with me, so I think they were like just laughing about how he felt and drinking water and all of that. So it's funny how something is happening while you have this kind of dark image. It's one of
Yeah.
my favorite photos. I think it's super beautiful, and I actually haven't used this camera again, but I will
Really?
for my next
Yeah.
wedding. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does have, like, at first glance you do think maybe a double exposure or there's something about it.
Yeah.
And looking at it this close and looking at like the bottom, and it's like it looks like a painting, like the colors, the way they're falling in those rocks.
It looks weird, right? It looks
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, really nice. Oh, Wuthering Heights. My goodness. This one, completely different vibe. Completely
know.
different. I actually just, I really appreciate just letting the couple have a bit of fun in an image, and for photographers to pull back to show some of the scene that they're in. I mean, it's a fairly simple image. But I like that about it. And the guys are just having a blast, and you can absolutely tell. I don't know what they're doing, if they're practicing their dancing or I don't know. But yeah, I just really like this. The colors, the guys just having a blast. Tell me about this image.
This was an engagement session.
Mm-hmm.
It was also in Baja California.
Right.
There's something about Baja that gives you these colors, this like happiness. It's amazing. I wanted to take the couple here because they were coming from LA, and they were like kind of very fun and just trying to do something different. And we were also working with their wedding planner, who are also like very fun, and they told me like, have you seen the court, the basketball court? And I was like, I never thought. Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. So I was like, let's go. And they were trying to dance, but they were just laughing a lot. And I just held them in the middle, and I think it was kind of a fun photo. I think you can see a lot of these kind of photos like on my portfolio. So I really love that it's something very different, and they are just having a very good time. So I really love how the colors and the palm trees and everything looks there, because I think for me it looks kind of a little bit of California, and they felt really like at home.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And I mean, you mentioned the red that's coming through in your new branding, so there's red there. Yep.
Next image, Gregory. Yeah. So I've seen similar images before, but I always love this angle of a photograph, because I think a lot of people are quite scared to shoot underneath a bride. This image in particular, I really enjoy because of all the negative space. She kind of blends into the clouds a little bit. But there's kind of this carefree nature to her. And that's kind of what attracted me to her. So again, a lonely bride in the clouds. Tell me about this image.
My husband always tell me like, you need to take care of the grooms as well. Like they need their moment. And I'm like, yeah, of course. This was actually after the wedding, like the next day of the wedding. This was in Oaxaca, in Puerto Escondido, which is a amazing place. It's one of the most beautiful beaches out there. It was very, very windy, and this bride was just amazing. She was like a bird. She is a dancer, so she moved like a princess, So, I really also love this photo because she felt. I think she was having the moment of her life. She was super happy. She was super in love with her wedding dress, and she didn't mind just to go in the water, in the sun, because super expensive wedding dress. So she was just having the moment of her life. We were supposed to have the photos with the groom, but the groom went to surf. He was surfing. So she was like, do you mind if I'm just alone with the photos? And I was like, of course, let's do it. So it was a nice moment. I think we spent like 2 hours taking photos of her with the veil, and just the place was amazing for me. I really love the also when you have like this melancholy of the sea and everything, it's more cloudy and darker. So I think this photo kind of captures that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why
And her
that's why you didn't
arms are amazing. She's a
her-
dancer, so
yeah. I was gonna say that's why you don't focus on the guys, because they just fuck off surfing. Come on, guys.
I know.
Come on, be better. Anyway, next image. I'm pretty sure I know what the yes. So this
Oh,
image,
yeah.
I feel like, was this used on your main page on your last website? Maybe not, but it was definitely prominent somewhere. I've definitely seen your logo or your name across this image at
Yeah,
some
I think
point.
I posted on Instagram that
Yeah,
photo with the logo.
yeah. So I actually really liked this. I liked the fact that it's kind of cut off, and you're seeing the next frame of the next image. That you've got your what are these bits? Your film size. What are these? What are these bits called?
The sprockets.
Sprockets.
The
Sprockets,
sprockets.
yeah.
The holes that the film grabs onto the things, and just this cut off image of a bride's dress. Tonally, I just think it works for kind of what you described your brand being. That kind of like, that kind of vampire-esque gothic kind of style of film, and I really like that about it. So, what's your thoughts when it comes to an image like this? Like, is this a happy mistake? Was this just you trying to get the detail of this very, very detailed dress? Did you just snap it without the bride knowing? Like, what's your thoughts behind it?
It wasn't a mistake. I really wanted, this was a absolutely amazing dress. It's one of my favorite designers, bridal designers. So I was very excited about shooting this bride with this dress. And one of my favorite moments to shoot the couple is like this blue hour, like after the gold passes and everything is happiness and love. I really love this time, but no, I usually don't have a lot of time to shoot by this hour. So I think it was like dinner time, and I was like, guys, the sky is amazing. This is a very beautiful venue in San Miguel, and it's very open and it's kind of up to the mountain, so you can see all the sky. Everything was the dark sky and sometimes even the stars, and the dry field and all of that. So this photo was taken with, I have sometimes for weddings, I bring a half frame camera. It's 35 millimeters, but it's half frame from Kodak. And it's super fun because you have the double of exposure. You have 72 exposures of a normal roll. And it's fun for weddings because you have way more photos. So I don't remember what was in the second frame. I think it was also like a plant or a flower or something. But I think they were just walking, and I took a lot of photos of them here also with their flowers and with the flash, and I just love the colors. I love this camera. I know it's not the most professional camera out there for film, but I really love it, and I think it gives like a very special film look. So I just wanted to have, I took a lot of photos of the dress by this moment, but this one I really love because the groom is right there behind her, but you can't really see him. And you can see like as you say, like you really can see a lot of detail of the dress, and you can see this beautiful kind of greenery light, like more like a vampire. It's like a vampire dress, you know? So it wasn't an accident. I really want to have like the tail of the dress, and I just really love this photo.
Yeah.
I know it's maybe like a weird photo. It's kind of cut, but I really love.
Yeah.
I love these kind of weird photos where you
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's like a mistake, but it looks weird.
Yeah. So with your film, do you have a lab that you send it to for developing? Do you use the same scanner, or do you scan yourself? Like, what makes you decide to keep the edges in a frame like this?
I've always, I've been experimenting with a lot of film labs, because it's hard to also do it at my home. I have no space to have a dark room, which my husband and I, it's like a goal for this year to have our
Yeah.
own dark room at
Okay.
home.
Cool.
So we want to do all the film process by ourselves, but right now I'm sending the photos to all the roles to a lab. They are very, very good. They are Pantera Lab. They are in the north of Mexico, so I send them everything and they send me the files. Most of the times I ask to the frames to be included, the
Yeah.
sprockets, because I have more freedom of how I want to cut the photos or
Yeah.
how I want them to be presented to the client. I think when they see like the whole gallery with the mix of film, it looks very beautiful to have like these things like the film frames, because they can see what is film and what is digital, but when they see a little bit of that, I think that's amazing, and
Yeah.
it looks amazing for a website or Instagram, or I really love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I was just having a look on Instagram to see the image and what was next, and then I saw one of your highlights, and you were in Scotland 14 weeks ago.
Yes.
How was your trip?
Oh my god, amazing. I want to live in Scotland forever and ever.
Yeah. So you went up to Skye. Where else did you go? You Edinburgh. I noticed that you went to Laddybrook Castle as well. You an Outlander fan?
Yes. Big Outlander fan.
A big Outlander fan. Oh man, that must be so much fun.
Yes, I was actually crying there. This trip to Scotland was a big dream for us. I'm a big fan of Harry Potter, so I was seeing things all over. And since we wanted to elope there, this past year was like, we are going to Scotland. And so we were to a lot of places. We went to we actually have a photo session with Becky from Bell Art.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, we were just speaking to her on the podcast.
Yeah, I saw that one. It was amazing. We love her. It was super cold, but we have fun. So it was a very cinematic trip. Very, very like fulfilling. We love it. We love it. I actually, fun story, I found the new Polaroid in Edinburgh because
Okay.
I wanted to have it to buy it here in Mexico. I couldn't, and it was such a mess, and it was like more expensive to send it to Mexico, so it was so weird. And we went to London before, and I was looking for the camera in all the city, and they didn't have it, so I found it in there.
Cool. Yeah. There's quite a few good film shops in Edinburgh that I know.
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
In
Awesome.
fact, yeah, there's a good couple in Glasgow as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
So, in wrapping up, do you have any like book recommendations, or I mean, you've already gave us one movie with the vampires, but any other movie recommendations for our listeners to check out?
Oh my god. I really love classic stuff, so I can really recommend something more new right now. But I just to start with if you haven't seen the one I told you, he's an amazing director. He has a lot of weird movies also. I can tell you some of my favorite movies in general, but For recommendations right now, I don't know. I'm really, really loving to horror movies. I love Carrie. I love Dracula, of course. The Witch is one of my favorite movies also right now. It's not new, but I really love it.
The Witch.
The Witch, yes.
Hmm.
It's from the same director of Nosferatu.
Okay,
Yep, I've got it.
It's
Cool.
I love the photography of the Witch is amazing.
Yeah.
The sounds
Awesome.
and everything.
Yeah, I'll definitely be checking those out for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that brings us to the end. Thank you so much for spending almost 2 hours. Are we at 2 hours?
Yeah.
Probably. Yes. Where can people find you online if they wanted to check out your work?
Hopefully on the website, like in the next couple of days, but on my Instagram, and if they need to inquire for something, I'm still like on the website. I'm having the inquiries, and I'm really, really hope that this new website is live next week.
Yeah.
That's my goal. But I'm on Instagram if they want to see something in between.
Cool.
Awesome. Great. And people can find us at perspectivebycinemate.com is our website. Instagram and YouTube at Perspective by Cinemate. Thank you to With Jack for sponsoring this episode. Subscribe and follow wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you in the next one. However,
In the meantime,
enjoy your life. Or afterlife. Enjoy your afterlife.